Did Texas just give homeowners over 65 a $200,000 break on their property taxes? Because when I first say that, I know what some of you were thinking. Jamie, where do I sign? And how can Texas send that leftover money directly to my vacation fund? Not exactly, but if you're 65 years or older, you own a home in Texas, or you're thinking about retiring and moving to Texas, this is something you need to know about. Because qualifying Texas homeowners age 65 and older can now have up to $200,000 of their home's value exempt from school district property taxes. And that's a very important distinction. Texas isn't writing you a $200,000 check. I wish. And they're not wiping $200,000 off your tax bill. What we're talking about is $200,000 of taxable value for school district property taxes. And depending on the value of your home and where you live, that can make a meaningful difference. So today I'm going to explain how it works, who qualifies, what happens when you turn 65, and one benefit a lot of homeowners don't even realize comes with being over 65 in Texas. Hey everybody, I'm Jamie Graves with the Graves Realty Group at Epic Realty, and I have lived in Houston for over 30 years. I raised my family here and I've watched this area grow tremendously. I'm a former educator, so when I'm helping someone buy, relocate, or downsize, I want you to understand what you're getting into. I just don't want to hand you a set of keys and say good luck. And as a real estate investor, I pay attention to the numbers too. Taxes matter, monthly cost matters, and if you're planning for retirement, those expenses really matter. So if you're thinking about retiring in Texas, moving to Houston, or downsizing into your next home, subscribe to my channel. This is exactly the kind of information I want you to know before you make the move. All right, let's talk about this $200,000. So what does $200,000 actually mean? Texas homeowners who qualify for a residence homestead exemption currently receives $140,000 exemption from the value used to calculate school district property taxes. If you're age 65 or older and you qualify, Texas provides an additional $60,000 school district homestead exemption. So when you put those two together, you get $200,000. So let's make this easy. Let's say your qualifying homestead is appraised at $400,000. This does not mean Texas gives you 200 grand. It means that for the school district portion of your property taxes, up to $200,000 of that value can be exempt. So instead of the school district calculating taxes before the entire $400,000 value, the exemption can substantially reduce the taxable value used for that portion of your bill. And that's why I want people to understand the difference, because Texas gives seniors $200,000. Sounds like we're all meeting at HEB tomorrow to pick up giant checks. We're not. It's property tax relief through the homestead exemption, and it applies specifically to your qualifying residence homestead. All right, next, you have to qualify. Here's another part people miss. This isn't automatically attached to every property you own just because you turn 65. To qualify for the age 65 or older residence homestead exemption, you generally need to be at least 65, have an ownership interest in the property, and live in the home as your principal residence. So if you own 5 investment properties, you don't get to run around putting your senior homestead exemption on every one of them. Nice try. We're talking about your primary residence, and typically you apply for these exemptions through your local county appraisal district. The appraisal district is ultimately responsible for determining whether the property and the homeowner qualify. This is also why when I'm working with someone who is relocating or downsizing, I tell them to pay attention to their exemptions after they move. Don't assume everything magically happens by itself. All right, number 3, what if you turn 65 this year? This is a good one. You don't necessarily have to wait until the next calendar year just because you weren't 65 on January 1st. According to the Texas Comptroller, an eligible homeowner can qualify for the age 65 exemption when they turn 65. So if that birthday is coming up, first of all, happy birthday. Second, forget another coffee mug. You may have a property tax exemption to look into. Okay? If you recently turned 65 and haven't looked into this, contact your local appraisal district and find out what you need to file. Don't leave a potential exemption sitting on the table just because nobody told you about it. All right, now the next one, the tax ceiling is a big deal. This is number 4. Now here's something I think retirees and people planning retirement really need to understand. Texas also provides certain protections for homeowners age 65 and older involving school district property taxes. You may hear this called the over 65 tax ceiling or tax limitation. The basic idea is that once you qualify, there are protections that can limit how much the school district portion of your property taxes can increase. Although there are circumstances such as certain improvements to the property that can affect the calculation. And this is where I want you talking directly with your appraisal district or a qualified tax professional about your property, because everyone's situation is different. But if you're trying to plan what your house expenses will look like in retirement, this is absolutely something worth understanding. Number 5, your city or county may offer more. And here's where Texas property taxes get a little bit interesting. And by interesting, I mean you're going to need coffee. The $140,000 general exemption and the additional $60,000 over 65 exemption we're talking about relate to school district taxes, but other local taxing units can offer additional exemptions of their own. The Texas Comptroller says local taxing units may adopt additional exemptions for homeowners age 65 and older. That means the exact savings can vary depending on where you live. And this is one reason I don't like giving people one generic property tax number for Houston. Greater Houston is enormous. Different cities, different counties, different school districts, different taxing entities. So when you're comparing two homes, especially if you're relocating or downsizing, don't just ask me what the purchase price is. We need to look at the tax picture as well. And if this is helpful, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because I talk about moving to Houston, retiring in the Houston area, downsizing, new construction, property taxes, communities, and all the things people usually figure out after they move. I'd rather you know before. And if you're thinking about relocating to Houston or downsizing to your next home, click the link below and get in contact with me. Tell me where you're coming from, what you're looking for, and what this next season of life looks like for you. My team and I would love to narrow down some communities and homes that actually fit your lifestyle and your budget. Number 6, this is why this matters so much for downsizers. This is where I see a lot of people approaching retirement make a big mistake. They focus completely on the sales price of the next house. But your retirement lifestyle isn't determined only by what you pay for the house. It's determined by what that house costs you to keep. Taxes, insurance, utilities, HOA fees, maintenance, all of it. Maybe you're sitting in a large 2-story house right now and the kids are grown. Half the rooms aren't being used. You're paying to cool the upstairs, maintain the yard, and take care of a house that made perfect sense 20 years ago. It just doesn't fit your life anymore. That doesn't necessarily mean you need the cheapest house. It just means we need to find the right house. Maybe that's the 1-story home. Maybe it's a community with amenities. I'm right in this situation right here with you. Maybe it's somewhere closer to your children or grandkids. Maybe you want to travel more and maintain less. That's why these over 65 property tax benefits are part of a much bigger conversation. We're not just talking about buying another house, we're talking about planning the next season of your life. So yes, the $200,000 number is real, but remember what it actually means. For a qualifying Texas homeowner age 65 or older, the current school district homestead exemptions can total up to $200,000 of the home's value. That's the $140,000 general school district homestead exemption plus the additional $60,000 exemption for qualifying homeowners at age 65 or older. It's not a $200,000 check. I wish. It's not $200,000 taken directly off your tax bill. But if you're planning to retire in Texas, it's absolutely something you need to understand. And don't just guess what your savings will be. Your home's value, your taxing jurisdictions, your exemptions, and your individual situation all matter. If you're 55, 60, 65 and older and you're already thinking, Jamie, I'm ready to get out of this big 2-story house, I just don't know where I want to go yet. That's exactly the conversation I love having. Click the link below and get in contact with me. Tell me about what you want this next chapter to look like, and we'll start looking at Houston areas, communities that fit the way you actually want to live. And subscribe to the channel because I'm going to keep breaking down retirement, downsizing, Houston real estate, property taxes, and the things you need to know before you make a move. I'm Jamie Graves with the Graves Realty Group at Epic Realty. Who you work with matters. We'll see you in the next video.